welcome to this week's episode of Journey Journals. Today I'm here with Tariro, neGitare, who is a musician, she does a lot of outreach ministry, and she is a woman who is rising up. So Tariro, welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
Why Tariro neGitare?
Oh, yeah. Well, Tariro is my name. It's my birth name, which means hope. And I remember when I first got in the industry, a lot of people, Tariro is a very popular name in Zimbabwe. And I thought, how do I distinguish myself from every other Tariro? And I thought the one thing that makes me stand apart from everyone else is the fact that I play the guitar. So I thought, hey, every time people would see me, they'd say, oh, there's Tariro and her guitar. When I Tariro neGitare rake. And that sort of, caught on. So I decided to call myself Tariro neGitare, which, literally means Tariro and the guitar. And as time went by, I also got a revelation that, look, it also shows the distinction between myself and the gift, where the word says your gifts will make room for you and place you before great men. And I always ask, okay, when you're before great men, then what? What do you do? So the gift is guitar. That has placed me before great men. And when I get in front of great men, I talk about who Tariro is. So that distinction is also necessary to show that, yes, there is Tariro, but there's also the gift that has been given to Tariro, that has made room for Tariro. So, yeah, and, even when you get to know the gift better, I started to understand what my purpose and my calling is, which is really to bring hope to people's lives. The music brings hope. Every time I come into contact with anyone, it gives them hope. So yeah, it's hope and the gift, and that's how we're doing it.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So in your journey as a musician, bringing hope where there's hopelessness and just restoring hope really where it's been lost.
Yeah.
How has that changed your life as you have grown into that space?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can only give people what you have. Because I was meant to give hope, the Lord had to make me go through certain things that made me show that there is hope. So I went through a lot of things personally, went through a divorce, I had a premature baby, got into the wrong relationships, and in the end, I had to get on my knees and say, okay, Lord, where are we going with this? He had to put me in a situation where I was hopeless, and to look at Him as the giver of hope, and actually say, oh yes, there is hope in Christ. And that is the message that I can share now, to say, okay, you know what, I've been through A, B, C, D, and I can share this hope with you because I've been through it. I can share this hope with you because I understand the giver of the hope. This gift has given me hope in areas that I never thought it would give me. So, it's so exciting, it's so fulfilling. I could do this for free because I've realized realized that I was born to do this. I was born to give people hope. It's no coincidence that I'm just called Tariro. That's like a stamp on exactly what I'm supposed to do. So the search for my gifting, the search for wanting to better myself in the things that God has given me has allowed me to understand my calling and my purpose. And that is what I've just devoted myself to do every day of my life, giving people hope, because I've been in a situation where I needed the hope.
Yes. Yeah. So would you say that as you've walked your journey, everything that you've experienced, that you've gone through, and that you will go through is in essence taking you into a higher place in your calling?
That is very true. There's something that you actually mentioned in your book, that everything that you're going through is meant to be that testimony. Everything that you as part of your journey is meant to be a lesson to someone else. And we take it lightly, but when I look at my life and the way it's come through, it's so fascinating to see how God has placed everything in order. It's meant to be there, even the bad things, even the good things. If I look at just something so simple like how I started to play the guitar, I have an older brother who plays the guitar. So we had a guitar at home. One day in choir, the sister Elizabeth, who's the person who taught me how to play, just says, look, I'm looking for 10 people to come and join the guitar choir. And I thought, hey, I've got a guitar at home, I might as well go and learn.
And you'd never played
I'd never played it before. And I just thought, oh wait, I like Lauren Hill, she plays the guitar, so I might as well go and learn it. But little did I know that that was the start of a journey. I had never thought that I would end up, playing the guitar for a living. But as you have, the way God works is, for some reason, I knew I had to rehearse every day. Sister Elizabeth would say to me, an hour a day, just do an hour a day, Tariro. And I would session like I was practicing for something. But
and you were.
And I was, but you don't know it.
Yeah.
fast forward a couple of years later, I remember when I went for the Sisters Open Mic, a friend of mine just invited me to sing. It so happened that day was the first anniversary of the Sisters Open Mic, and all the female celebrities were there. There was your Busi Ngubes, your Edith Otonga, Duduma Nenga, and I'm called up to sing. A friend of mine just, go and sing. And then I sang, and the first thing she said to me, Edith said to me was, you play so clean. It's as if you practice every day. And I thought, wow, actually I do.
Yes.
So then I started to realize that that's how God orders things. There's a gut feeling that is inside of you that is placed in you because you're supposed to follow it. You're supposed to pursue those things that you love. You're supposed to pursue the things that feel right to you, even when you don't understand it, because it's part of God's plan.
It's like a fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just that thing that makes you want to go. And if you deny it, you'll be like Jonah. God will just make everything not work until you follow the path that He wants you to do. So you can't run away from it. It's just there. You just have to do it. Yeah, so I definitely feel that everything in my life has been placed for a purpose. I have had to go through certain things because they're very important for my journey as Tariro neGitare.
And you know, as I'm listening to you speaking,
Yeah.
one of the things that I know for sure in my own journey is that as we are journeying along, God always sends along helpers.
Oh yes.
Destiny helpers, angels. How important has it been in your own journey to be connected to the right people at the right time?
Yes.
And how do you know when there's a destiny helper?
Yeah, that is where you really need discernment. You really need the word. And before I was saved, before I understood what God was doing in my life, it was very difficult because everyone wants to be a part of something that seems to be great or that's getting somewhere. There are people who would come into my life, and I've seen God's grace really. Even before, when I was younger, there's someone who'd always say, do this. I've never bought a guitar in my life, never, but I have one of the best brands. I own more than one because people were placed in my life to do that for me. I worked for a man called Pastor Herman Chimsoro. Little did I know that he was grooming me for that side of my work. But his company was an events and promotions company and a sound company. So I had to work with technicians, I had to work with event planners, I had to work with, sound technical things. He owned, I think, over 10, 15 guitars, and he was always buying the latest guitars. And I remember when he said to me, you know what, pick the one that you want. And then I just picked my guitar, and I've never bought a guitar. And so even as I look back, I think there are people who are just there to ensure that this gift happened, whether I liked it or not.
Yes.
I get other musicians who would say, can I come and teach you? I saw you on stage, you did this, come I work on this with you. Philbert Maroa called me after one show as I started, and he just said to me, I think we need to work on this. Started taking me for lessons for free, and we worked on that. Prayer Soul did the same thing. For free. I would just go, and Philbert Maroa is one of the best, one of the best musicians in this country, legendary. Tuku just took me under his wings. Sam Mataure, who was also his manager at that time, would just say, look, there's a gig, can you go? Tuku's not around. We're going to Botswana, can you make it? We need you to open for this show. And I'm like, what is happening? Victor Kunonga would do the same thing. Alexio would do the same thing. So can you imagine this powerhouse of artists who are just being used by God to pursue, to push me? And I'm like, okay, I'm not even the best, but God had a purpose, God had a plan, because when you are elevated, when you are put in the spotlight, it's meant for His glory.
Yes.
It's meant for His glory. So now He's like, okay, I've put you on this platform, what are you going to do for me? So yeah, there are people who are meant to help, but you also need to realize that God uses people, so does the devil.
Yes.
And discernment is key. So you really need to get yourself in the Word, to really understand and to discern, because these days, the devil doesn't come with horns and a pitchfork. He comes with the Bible and he's quoting the Word. So you need to really discern and say, okay, this opportunity, is this from God? How is this meant to glorify God? This money, how am I going to use it to serve God? Do I submit to what He wants me to do? I say, Lord, you've blessed me with this gift, you've blessed me with this money. What are we doing for your kingdom? It's very important to go back to the Creator. When you buy a phone, you go back to the manual and check, how do I use this phone? A lot of us just want to experiment, and in the process we mess things up. But it's important to just go back to the manual and just say, how are we doing this? And it's very important to discern who is a destiny helper, who is on the other side.
And would you say that because you've lived with an awareness of God and God sending people, it has helped you to stay rooted.
Oh yes, definitely, because you realize it's not you.
Yes.
You realize it's not you. Before, when I got an editor, look, to be honest, I was not as well versed in the word as I am now. So I look back and I think, oh, I should have done this better, I should have done that better. But yeah, it's the more you realize that these opportunities are not me. I actually see it and I'm like, oh no, I didn't plan this journey. I did not plan to be a musician. So I know for a fact that this is not me. Even if you ask any artist or anyone who is blessed to be able to create, the creation process itself humbles you, because there are things that come to mind or things that come in a dream or in a vision that you are then asked to sing about, and you know you didn't come up with this. I get melodies and tunes that I'm like, what? I would have never thought. Exactly, yeah. I would have never thought of this. Or you find a very professional guitarist who say to me, Tari, how did you play that? I'm like, look, you are the pro. But it's those things that you realize, I can't take glory for this. It's not me. This is really divine. This is there's another force at work here. It's no longer me. So there's no way you can take credit for what's not yours. I know the Holy Spirit is definitely working in my life. I know that everything that I have is because God has given it to me.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt at any point in the journey like giving up?
Oh yes, so many times. But I like something that you said in your book, that you said, I started counting the stars in the dark sky. Without the dark sky of the night, I would never have seen the true revelation of how beautiful the stars were. There's days that you're like, do I really need to do this? I could go back to my office job. With my degrees, I can literally just, get back to my normal life. But if you don't get into that pit, you'll never know how deep it is. You'll never know how nice it is to now get up and come out of the pit. You'll never know how beautiful it is to look back and say, oh, I jumped that hurdle. To say, the Lord has helped me thus far. So you need those dark days. I mean, and a lot of those dark days have inspired the music that I'm singing today. So I would not have, had all that content that I'm singing now. I would not be the person that I am now. I would not be as empathetic to other people's issues and problems as I am now. So yeah, it was very necessary for me to have those dark days, to allow me to see things in a different perspective, to understand what other people are going through, and therefore be able to alleviate their situations.
Yes. Yeah, that I was actually going to ask you that, to say, so do you find that having been helped by other people that much in your journey, you have a desire to help other people?
Of course. I feel that we shouldn't have to go through the same things other people have gone through. Last night I was watching a movie called Apocalypse, I think. Yeah, Apocalypse, which is like about John, the disciple whom Jesus loved. And I thought to myself, wow, this guy was in jail for so long, like he went through all that. And I'm like, we don't have to go through that, because there are people who've gone through that already. And I feel the same way. We have gone through certain things so that others that are coming after us don't have to go through the same things. Which is why I'm running a trust called neGitare Africa Trust, which is aimed at grooming musicians. So you don't have to go through some of the dramas that we went through. Start at a better place and, create other problems that are not the ones we went through. And also to just make artists see their gift as something that has come from God, and therefore submitting to Him will open doors that they would have never thought would open. And if artists who are influencers of culture, if we can have people who are influencers of culture influence their listeners to the things of God, can you imagine what life would be like? I was laughing the other day when I was watching another sermon and people are like, no, the devil is working overtime to sensitize our media, through the media, through movies. And I said, do you think God is sleeping? Do you think He doesn't have a plan?
That is powerful.
Do you think He's just chilling and watching the devil? No, He's got a plan. He's raising up people in spheres you'd never think. He's raising up artists. He's raising up business people to now impact society, because the last days are here. We are in the last days, and if you don't take your stance and live according to what God wants you, you're wasting your time.
And we've already, like you're saying, we've been given the word.
Exactly.
And it's got everything that we need. It's quick, it's powerful, it's active, it's a sword.
And He has won already.
And He has won.
He has won. So, it's so funny. I don't know where I was reading where it says, look, the devil is just standing at the finish line, you know, I mean, God is already standing at the finish line, and the devil's just running,
still,
and
yes.
you're like, sure, yeah, try and trip me, try to fall, but I've won. I've won. Yeah.
Amen.
So it's about time people realize that and forget this illusion that this is real. Forget this illusion, because there's a bigger thing. There's a bigger picture to this all. And I watched an interview by Asha the other day, Asha the musician, and she was saying, look, this illusion is bigger than we think. Stop fooling yourselves. Stop fooling yourselves and just live on purpose. Live on purpose. And that's a pun. That's a pun intended. Live on purpose. You know. So yeah, it's interesting. We God is raising people up, and I'm glad I'm one of those artists that He is raising to just push the agenda of God, to just push what hope is in Christ, not in the things of this world.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful. You know, I love that you have been empowered and you are impacting other people as well through this neGitare Africa Trust.
Yeah.
So say there are people watching right now and they want to, you know, they have a passion and a desire to reach people through music, and how can they get a hold of you, and what can they hope to learn from neGitare Africa?
What they can learn hope to learn. Okay, so it's not just about music, it's about your gift, regardless of what your gift is. I believe my sole principle is the verse, your gift will make room for you. That is one thing that I tested God, and I said, if you claim that my gift is going to make room for me, can it make room now? Why is this area of my life not fixed? When you said my gift will make room for you, that's when He started to open doors. And if people can realize that, you know, we've been groomed to grow up in a society where education is number one. There's nothing wrong with education, but if you educate yourself in the area of your gifting, that's how I feel it should be.
So in other words, you have been given everything that you need in order for you to flourish in this world.
Exactly.
And so you are wealthy.
You are wealthy
you are
already.
with your gift. Your gift is your wealth.
Your gift is your wealth. And if you seek the giver of the gift, He will reveal how your gift is supposed to work for you. Because if I tell you I'm not the best guitarist in this country, but the doors that open for me are not just you know what I mean? There's a purpose to it. And that's why you find that sometimes the most successful person is not necessarily the best, but just the most passionate. Just the most passionate. There's someone who believes that, no, I've been given something that is beyond me and I should just move in that direction.
And just be a vessel.
Yes, just be a vessel.
Just allow Him to direct your every step.
You're just a steward. You're not the owner. You're not the owner. Just a steward. Say, okay, good morning, Lord. What's the plan today? What are we doing?
And then He directs
You're my boss.
And sometimes you make your own plans, but He will steer you in a different way.
And the thing is, when you give Him glory, He elevates you. Humble yourself, and He will lift you up.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, thank you a lot. Thank you, Tariro. You know, you've shared how this book has impacted your life.
Yes.
And in a way, you've also experienced pain, and that pain has helped to elevate you. So I would like to just say to those people that are watching today, maybe you haven't had the chance to read, I want to encourage you to read the Word, spend time in the Word. This is Tariro, and her name means hope. I'm Linda Namatai. Namatai means pray. So I want to encourage you that regardless of what situation you find yourself in, trust that God is doing something. Trust that God is working on your life. Trust that the giver of life is aware of who you are, aware of your every challenge. Everything that you go through, He is aware of.
Exactly.
Nothing that you go through takes Him by surprise. And as Tariro has shared, you know, the journey can sometimes have its own challenges. It can be very difficult. But pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing, and allow Him to renew your hope. Allow Him to speak to you. Allow yourself to lean into the voice of God, to lean your ear to the voice of God. That when He speaks to you, listen to what He says and obey. And obey. He is your refuge. He is your strength. He is your tower. He is the life giver. He is your source. He is your provider. He is your everything. And He has already placed all that you need for a victorious life. I feel like I want to just give some, some books away. I want to give 10 books away. So share this video or leave a comment, and I will pick 10 people who I'll send the books to. Be blessed.